Hello Ratbags, it's Jade Plays Games. Welcome to my No Man's Sky impressions video. No Man's Sky, did it live up to the hype? Is it ever going to be able to live up to the hype that was generated? What did I think and what did I expect? I'm going to go through the reasons why I think it's a great, fantastic game. Now initially I didn't actually look too much into stuff about No Man's Sky. I didn't look up wikis, I didn't watch many other YouTubes about information about the game or look up all the lore to do with the game. I really wanted it to be quite fresh and unique so that I could really enjoy it. Obviously with a lot of my other games that I do tutorials and guides on, I've always kind of looked up stuff so I was prepared for when the game was released so that I could do some interesting things with it. But I've thoroughly just enjoyed my first 3 to 4 hours of playing this game. I was lucky enough to receive a copy early and it gave me a really good head start, and even though I had to delete that save and restart again, it still was exciting playing it. Because my expectations were a bit lower, I still think the game is fantastic. It has been getting a bit of a negative reception from some people for not living up to the hype that was generated. But for me, it does everything I thought it would do. It's an exploration game set in space. I wasn't expecting Skyrim style missions or unique events where you would come across a note or something like a space traveller who would take you to another location. They added very little information about all the trading options, all the aliens you would meet until the very end. And so far I've not come across anything like that where you run into separate little extra missions or side quests. It's generally go to this waypoint, collect this stuff, upgrade your ship, and that's fine with me. If that sounds pretty boring, well, I guess it depends on what type of game you really wanted No Man's Sky to be. Were you expecting a Skyrim in space type of game where you could just go off and explore, do lots of different side missions? Then you may be disappointed. There are little things you can do. There are little missions you can uncover by going to outposts, scanning items, going to listening posts. But I don't think it scratches the surface for what many people thought it would be in terms of gathering all the unique missions. And that's probably the only sort of criticism I can level at it early on, is that after a while it could get a little bit repetitive for people who aren't as wowed by the look of the game or simply just running around collecting resources. Make no mistake, this is a resource heavy game. But what game isn't? No matter what game you play, you have to grind to proceed. Whether it's getting new gear in Destiny, whether it's getting resources in Minecraft, even doing missions in GTA Online. Some way or another, there is a system in every game that requires you to go out there and spend time gathering resources or doing arbitrary missions just to progress. And in that respect, No Man's Sky is no different. The small inventory space that you start with initially is extremely small, and they increased it just before launch. So you are going to need to make multiple trips and really get to grips about what the game is early on. Before you can be off going and being a pirate shooting at other enemy spaceships, before you can go and become a trader, before you can become an explorer, you need to grind to get your ship better equipped. And your items. Like your exosuit and the starship and your multi-tool inventory. And this is nothing new, but some people seem to be taking exception to this. This is the best part about the game, is exploring other planets. It's a simple bonus that when you go and get an ore on a planet because you know it's rich in that, you get to see amazing creatures and amazing landscapes. And again, if that doesn't sound exciting to you or fun, No Man's Sky is not the game for you. It is not action packed at every second of the day. It took me well over 2 hours to play of it before I got attacked by a creature or alien on a planet. So if you're expecting starship space combat all the time, it simply doesn't happen unless you get into it a bit further. Now I've still got a long way to go. I've only played it for 4 hours and I've not even left the first galaxy. But from what I know, there's going to be all sorts of things like pirate attacks and maybe more harder creatures and sentinels to come across. But initially the game is fairly easy in terms of combat You won't be dying every 2 seconds unless you do piss off the sentinels. And I guess that is the other big criticism I guess I could level at it. The sentinels are a bit sporadic. Sometimes they'll let you go just for doing nothing. Sometimes they'll start attacking you just because you're shooting a rock. Other times they completely ignore you when you've destroyed a creature. The AI on them isn't the most cleverest. And when they shoot at you, they seem to have a homing mechanism that just homes in on you straight away. But these are things that can be tweaked in the future to make it more enjoyable for people, or more of a challenge. So they're the two major criticisms I guess that I've come across, and they're not really criticisms because I'm still really enjoying the game, is that it could get a little repetitive for people not really into the space theme or into exploration. And the AI, the combat is a little bit lackluster. The actual gameplay itself is a little bit janky too. Sometimes the controls feel a little bit too floaty, and particularly when you're in a spaceship in dogfights it doesn't seem that responsive. But this isn't EVE Online or Star Citizen. It is a mixture of exploration and resource gathering for me. The look of the game is absolutely spot on. I absolutely love the look. I love the colour, I love the brightness. It is its main feature. If you don't like the look of the game, you don't understand why they went with this. It's in homage to all the space stories and films and TV shows that they grew up with in the 70s and 80s. Everything is quite colourful and quite unique. It's not particularly realistic, especially when going to weird alien planets. But it does do the job in terms of highlighting these beautiful creatures and beautiful landscapes that you see. It's like being in a painting. And I absolutely love the look of the game. The thrill of being able to just go off and do what you want, explore what you want, is absolutely amazing. The moments when you actually go off into space or use your warp drive are simply incredible. I literally jumped out of my seat the first time I done it. It gave me such a good feeling, and I haven't had that feeling in the game in years. I also absolutely 100% love the sound of the game. The music, the environmental sounds, it's truly immersive. Put your headphones on and crank it up and you'll get the most out of it. So the look of the game, the sound of the game is truly amazing. And the gameplay elements, they do become a little bit repetitive over time, but again it just depends on what type of games you like playing. I love exploration games. I love nothing more than running around brand new seeds in Minecraft just to see what rock formations could be, or what types of different biomes might spawn, or even the mountains. So the ability to come onto something like No Man's Sky and find thousands upon thousands of different planets is absolutely up my street. What about the multiplayer controversy? Like I said, I've been trying to avoid lots of things from it, but you can't get away from the fact there has been some issues. Particularly centred around the multiplayer aspect of the game. Initially, developers didn't say anything when two players managed to be on the same planet at the same time, couldn't actually see each other. This led to many people to believe that it wasn't actually fully multiplayer. And the game has never actually been promised as fully multiplayer. The idea that you join up and go and raid different planets or go and shooting at different spaceships together has never been on the cards. We've not seen one single trailer that has evidence of this. And in multiplayer games like Call of Duty and FPS shooters, you always see the gameplay, the multiplayer trailer arrive before the game. I think the developers probably could have done a better job of explaining what exactly multiplayer meant to them. For me, it's very similar to the way that multiplayer is in games like on Facebook. Things like Mafia Wars and Farmville, where you can help other players out by giving them lives, or occasionally visiting where they are from and helping them tend to their garden or help out with their base. If you've ever played a Facebook game like that, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. But the idea that you can just pal around with your friends in No Man's Sky was never on the cards, and I can't understand why people are getting so bent up about it. If they were so hyped about the game, they surely would have known by now the lack of all that multiplayer action in trailers, in interviews, meant that there was no real multiplayer like that. Now, developers have come out and said there's problems with the servers, and that in the future you will be able to see yourself and you should be able to see other players. But I still don't think that is necessarily the full case. You're obviously going to be able to see the other players' creations or planets they've discovered and animals they've discovered. But actually seeing another person and being able to walk around with them, I don't think that is really truly what's going to happen. We'll have to wait and see what happens, and of course the game is going to be keeping updated all the time. They've said they're going to update and add new content to it. The backlash is definitely coming from people that feel that it's a Sony game rather than an independent game. Because the front of it is published by Sony literally at the start of the game, that was a surprise to many, as many thought the game was being self-published. And so people assume that because it's been published by Sony, it's had all the money behind it that Sony normally give. And that may well be the case, we don't know for sure. But what we do know for sure is that the team behind this, Hello Games, have made an astonishing game for their third game only. Yes, it's taken years to do, but I can't see many independent games out there looking as good as this. It definitely has issues with gameplay, and it could definitely be a bit more involved or a bit more exciting if that is what you're looking for. But in terms of exploration, in terms of that wow factor of discovering new planets, I don't think there's any other game out there that beats it. Aesthetically, it looks good. The only games I would compare it to for uniqueness maybe would be Subnautica, and literally just the feel and look of the game because it's so unique, possibly We Happy Few. They're the three most unique games I've seen in a long time. Probably since Dishonored came out. So, should you buy No Man's Sky? Should you go and get a PlayStation to buy No Man's Sky if you don't already own one? You really have to think about what type of gamer you are. Are you someone that likes going and gathering resources, exploring planets, listening to great fantastic sound and enjoying the beautiful landscapes, the creatures and the weirdness of the planets? Or are you someone that needs that action heavy intro, action heavy combat all the time to keep you interested? Then you're not going to buy this game for that reason. Maybe they'll add better combat to it later on, maybe they'll make the AI a little bit better, but for now it seems like this is where it hits at the moment. So let's give it some scores. The look and the feel of the game is absolutely amazing, 5 out of 5. The sound of the game, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. The gameplay mechanics are still a bit too floaty, and they definitely need work on in terms of the combat, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. The fact that it's had problems with conveying the message of multiplayer and the servers aren't actually working properly, I'm going to give that aspect of it 3 out of 5. So overall, I've got to say it's still a 5 out of 5 game for me. Maybe I'll do a proper review once I've got to the centre, but that's going to take me lots and lots of hours, as I'm still only in the first galaxy after 4 hours of playing it. I hope that's been informative for you guys. I hope you appreciate my opinion. More No Man's Sky. I'm going to be doing as much coverage as I possibly can on it. I'm going to be doing glitches, I'm going to be doing tutorials, I'm going to be doing update videos, and I'm going to be trying to do Let's Play videos. And it's been really hard to put this content on my channel, which is mostly Ark, but I'm not stopping doing Ark. I'm doing Ark just as much, but I will be carrying on doing No Man's Sky. So really show your support, guys. Hit that thumb on the like, and I'll see you very soon for more gameplay impressions from other games and more No Man's Sky gameplay. I'm Jade Plays Games. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.